We welcome you to the fifth quarter on BTN.com. Dave Revson, alongside Glenn Mason, Jerry DiNardo, and Howard Griffith, as we continue our conversations from BTN Live, answer some of your questions that came to us via Twitter. First one, how does Jared Crick's season-ending injury affect the Huskers' ability to get their defense back to playing black shirt football? What do you think, Howard?
I think it's going to be tough because you miss his leadership. I think one of the other things that he brought to the table was that he commanded double teams, in some situations triple teams, being tripped by the back as he got out into the route. But he was a guy that offensively you had to game plan for, so you set your offense to make sure that he was accounted for.
Hard to replace Crick, but he missed the Wyoming game, and Terrence Moore took his place. And Moore's got 3 letters. He's a veteran guy. Anytime you lose a defensive lineman, I think it hurts a team. I think in Nebraska's case, even though Crick was a great player, they're probably deeper at defensive line than most teams.
Yeah, you can't replace that guy, so it's going to be difficult. But, you know, when you think of the black shirt defense, you don't think of one guy. You think about 11 guys, wherever they were out there, just swarming to the football. And they've made improvements, but they're not anywhere close to the black shirt defense that I remember.
No, absolutely. I mean, as a unit, you're missing Jared Crick, and obviously that's huge. And you talk about not really having a lot of experience there necessarily at defensive tackle outside of Moore. But, I mean, as a unit, they just haven't played up to what we've expected them to do, and not so much an issue of Jared Crick. This one coming from Buckeye Nation 1, who wants to know how Ohio State will bounce back against Illinois. You made a bold proclamation on the show, Mace.
Unlike some of my colleagues.
You care to reiterate?
Yeah, I'm picking Ohio State to win because I'm going to tell you, you know how they're going to win this game?
How?
They're going to win with their heart. They've been embarrassed. They've heard it all week long. Everybody's not giving them a chance. They're an underdog. You guys all laughed when I picked Ohio State. They've got a lot of pride. They're going to win this game with heart. That's how they're going to bounce back.
So there's no way they've packed in the season.
No way.
You know, we've talked a lot about that being the biggest comeback in Nebraska history. It's also the biggest collapse in Ohio State history in the modern era, going back to 1950, blowing a 21-point lead.
Well, I think they've got to be able to run the football. I think they've got to be able to pass protect on third and long. I don't think they'll quit either, because I think when you come from those type of programs, there's a lot of pride in them. But they're not a very good team right now.
Yeah, a lot of talent, a lot of individual talent. They just have to figure out how to put it together as a team. And you mentioned it. You talked about pass protecting. 10 sacks they've given up over the last 2 games. And I understand that 9 of those were to Michigan State, and they were better against Nebraska. But they have to continue to be able to protect the quarterback, whoever's playing back there, so that they can have a chance.
And Boone Herring comes back, and he brings a lot to the table. But if he can help their pass protecting, because their young backs have not done a very good job pass protecting.
Hey, let's not forget, they blew a 21-point lead, but they were good enough to get 21 points ahead in that game, too. So from their standpoint, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, hey, wait a minute.
Best offensive game, that's for sure,
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. A loss will put them under 500 in October for the first time since 1998. This one comes from Husker Fan 93. He wants to know, can Taylor Martinez take Nebraska to Lucas Oil Stadium and win, Mace?
Yeah, I think so, because they can win their division, and I think Wisconsin's going to win their division. So when they meet, Jerry, you and I both know it's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah, and I think he's good enough in that scheme. I don't think they're hitting on all cylinders. I mean, I thought they'd be further along offensively. I mean, obviously he doesn't throw the ball very well, but I don't think he has to throw it very well. I do think he can go there, and I think once he gets there, he can win.
And I think that's the key. He doesn't have to throw it well. They have to keep him in that offense inside what they do best, and that's running the football downhill, being aggressive, and playing outstanding defense. If they can do that, they can find themselves in that game with an opportunity to win.
I mean, so you guys are all saying it could happen. But, I mean, based on what we know right now, if it's Wisconsin against Nebraska, is anyone here picking Nebraska?
Not today. Not today. I wouldn't pick them today based on their body of work to this point. Now, they have the whole second half of the season to change my opinion. But I think they have the tools in place to be able to do that.
The other two of you are silent on this issue?
I'm taking the lead from my senior partner here.
I mean, would you, if it was right now?
Wisconsin's a better team right now.
Okay.
And so if they were playing, I would say the same thing as Howard. If they were playing right now, I would take Wisconsin. Can ultimately something happen to Wisconsin and they drop down a little bit and Nebraska come up a little bit? It's halfway through the season. Plus, there's already a game on tonight. I don't think we can get a stadium.
But
we can get a stadium.
I would hope we'd all agree that if it came down to them playing Wisconsin in Lucas Oil Stadium, it'd be a lot better game than we saw up there in Camp Randall.
I don't think so.
All right. This one comes from R. Webb, Michigan fan, who wants to know whether Michigan can make a legitimate national championship run.
Are you nuts? Yeah, wait a minute.
Don't treat our people
well,
like that.
I call you nuts.
No,
I'm not-
that's
it's,
okay.
It's kind of an affectionate term with me, but
I think
let's
that's
face
pretty
it now. I
offensive.
mean, they're improved, but we're worried about getting them to a bowl game. And now we're thinking about, well, maybe it could be a January 1 bowl game. And really, if everything went right, maybe a BC. But the national championship, nah, not yet. Come on.
So it's a term of affection when you say
are
to
you
me,
nuts?
"Are you nuts?"
Sure.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
Are you nuts?
No, they're not good enough to shoot a bid in the national championship hunt.
No, I don't think so either, but I think they're starting to make strides to get back there. A couple of more recruiting classes, really, once they define who they are offensively, what Coach Borges wants to do, I think they'll start to make rooms and make ways there.
I'll tell you, I think this is a huge game this weekend for them, showing that they're back.
Who do you think is more important to, Michigan or Michigan State?
This year, I think it's more important to, I guess I'd probably say Michigan.
And how about most years in the past? Who do you think is most
Michigan
important?
State.
And how about in the future?
I can't
What are you
foretell
doing?
the
I mean,
future.
why
Who's
is
it
that
more
line
important
of
to this year, in
question?
your opinion?
Michigan.
Who do you guys think is
Absolutely,
more
it's
important?
Michigan.
Bigger for Michigan this
Absolutely,
year.
it's Michigan.
But you can see the other side of it because if Michigan State wins, then they can say, all right, you're saying, yeah, we beat you guys, but it was just Rodriguez. It was an aberration. No, now we beat Brady Hoke. This
Your
is an
guy.
aberration. We're taking over this state. So I think you can make a case that it's bigger for
Well,
Michigan State.
it's big for both. You're talking
Right.
about cutting hairs.
Levels
splitting
of
it.
gradation. All right, well, good stuff. We'll
I don't have
continue.
any hair to cut, by the way.
Yeah, what happened to it all? I was wondering about
Stress.
that. Yeah, hanging around with us will do that. We appreciate all of the questions. We'll do this again next week. We'll see you Thursday night for BTN Live, and we'll see you Saturday in studio.